Your skin is a fabric. It is not only the largest organ that you possess, but it is also filled with life. So here is one of the paintings that I really loved during my recent travels in Rome. So basically this is the slide that I wanted to show first of all, and tell me what you think when you look at it. This is called the creation of Adam. All right, so the basic reason that I am starting this series is to go over layer by layer and talk about the ongoing chronic skin failure that becomes accelerated when people get into their pauses. Now, what is a pause? A pause is a body's manifestation of halting its function. So look at this diagram. This diagram is a cross-section of your skin. It shows three super important parts that your skin holds. There is an epidermis, which is where you meet the world. And then there is a dermis, which is basically where all your problems occur. Your collagen is here, your collagen is here, your blood flow is here, your venous, which is like kind of the lymphatic and crap that your body is cleaning out is here. Over here you see like this is where your hair follicle is completely embedded. And right around the hair follicle, you can see that it is supported with a little bit of collagen. Because it's just like, what are these like tiny fat cells? These are basically pouches holding the nutrients that is going to be supplying to your hair. So all of these things are right in the middle of this layer, which is also the kind of the thickest part. This is the padding. So your inner padding of the skin is right here. All right. Listen, if you never understood skin and then you somehow stumble upon this and then you start understanding skin, and if that makes you happy that you now understand your skin, then give us a like and subscribe. All right. So today's lecture is on chronic skin failure. However, I cannot tell you what parts of your skin will be failing if you do not understand what skin is. So this is an attempt to make you understand what your skin is. It's like a fabric. Your skin is a fabric. It is not only the largest organ that you possess, but it is also filled with life. And it has distinct parts, even though you say that, oh, we like to say beauty is only skin deep. However, your skin is the covering that not only is protecting your inside from the outside, it also is the largest breathing organism. It's an organ, just like your heart is an organ. And when your heart fails, things stop pumping. Just like your kidneys are an organ, just like your stomach and your intestines is like a distinct organ. And our understanding of human body is leading to this point where your skin is the holder of all your organs. Whether it is your skeletal system, whether it is your muscle, whether it's your fat padding, whether it is your hair. So your hair, what is your hair? So you see in this representation of skin. Now this is just a regular skin. This is not the skin of the scalp. And I will make a slide for you guys about what a scalp cross-section would look like. This is just your regular skin. This could be your face, this could be your stomach skin, this could be your skin on the fold of your arm. So in this skin, the top topmost layer, which is the epidermis, where you meet the world. If we were to like even get a electron microscope and really look down on this layer will be filled with like really tightly wound cells. They're mostly dead cells, and their basic task is to bind it together so hard that nothing can go past it. Whether it is something that you can see, like a bug or something, or it's something that you can't even see, like a virus. Your top skin layer is supposed to be so tightly bound that it just refuses entry. The middle layer has all the very, very important supply, and the top layer actually is protecting kind of the middle layer. So middle layer, as you can see, has like all these blood vessels. This is where also your pigmentation, so some of the melanocytes, which are the holders of pigment and holders of color. So if you're white, you do not have that pigment. However, if you're of any other ethnicity, you will have color, pigment. And that pigment is where you will create color inside your skin and give it a different, distinct reflection. Now that also is located over here. Sometimes your skin can get burnt. Sometimes it is just you exposing yourself to external elements that can create pigment via burn, and that is something that also occurs over here. And very soon you guys are, if you hang out here a little while longer, it will all start making sense that why it is important to know all these small functions that make that layer of skin so important. Aside from blood flow and all these paddings of fat and some lymphatic drainage and hair follicles, which are basically just extensions of your skin. Your hair is just an extension of your skin. Let me say that again in case you've never heard anyone say that to you before. Your hair is an extension of your skin, and the internal environment of your body will impact your hair. So as you get older, your skin also starts to get old. And one of the earliest manifestation of aging of your skin, whether that aging is taking place due to inflammation or and that inflammation could be a result of several factors, like it could be hormonal, it could be stress from work, it could be stress from internal emotions, whatever is causing that stress, or it could be just stuff that you're eating that could, create injury into different organs of your body. For example, people who consume too much alcohol, they wreck their liver, structures of their liver, and that causes a lot of inflammation in their system. So any organ failing inside your system will have an impact on your body. So in terms of skin, all structures kind of communicate with skin. Your skin is also represented inside your brain. So your brain cells and your skin cells used to be the same. They arose from the same layer of cells that held the code of your initial DNA structure. So you're nothing but a code that is manifesting. So that code, when it is very, very tiny, it's just this one cell old, the outermost layer of that code divides, and half of it turns into your brain, and half of it turns into your skin, the largest organ of your body. So your brain cells and your skin cells are related, all right? So a lot of effort is done in trying to understand how the brain works. So there are neurologists who are the best of the best. There are psychologists and psychiatrists who know the diseases of brain. And we have dermatologists who try to understand how skin is. However, these two organs are very intimately related, and they are soul cells. I think they're like soul sisters. I don't know what what to say, maybe they're mates, they're soulmates. Anyway, so once you understand that, the structure of how a skin works, you should try to understand it. And why then, when chronic skin failure occurs and it starts, what parts fail first? That is also one of my slides somewhere, like which part is going to fail first. And so if this is clear, so now we have the epidermis, we have the dermis, and then I don't know if in this slide you can see there should be a hypodermis too. What is the hypodermis, you might ask? So hypodermis is the last tiniest inner padding of your inner padding. So it's like your skin has a structure up which basically separates you from the world. Then there is like a little inner community of cells that are alive. Now the top layer, you're dead. So when you look at someone, like when you're looking at me, you're basically looking at my dead cells. These cells have already died. You just didn't get to meet them. Anyway, so the top layer of your skin is dead cells. So your dead cells represent you. That's why we say your spirits represent you, because these are your dead cells. And right under it is a community of alive cells that are getting blood supply, that are getting nourishment, that is getting padding. But guess what? As you go through time and gravity and hormonal imbalance and nutritional imbalance through life, your body starts to pause. And as you enter into your pauses, your skin starts manifesting chronic skin failure. It hits mostly the top layers first, and the bottom, the hypodermis, is like very tiny cells. It's like they have baby cells. These are baby cells that will keep rising, and they end up turning into full-blown skin cells. It's like it grows. So your skin is like 1,000-layer crepe. I don't know if any of you have ever tried Lady M's 1,000-layer crepe cakes in New York City. It's a place which I visited it with David, who took me to like this insanely wonderful cake. It's called Lady M. If you've never tried it, you should go and try it. So it has like this crepe cake which has 1,000 layers in it of deliciousness. And it's like very tiny. It's not like huge, but it's like every tiny little bite has so much flavor. So your skin is like that. It's 1,000-layer crepe. And what you see as like this 5 millimeter, and millimeter is very, very tiny. Millimeter is like, it's deep information. However, it's very thinly laid. So understanding that information is important. So this dermis has the most layers, but as you get older, the dermis starts shrinking. And hypodermis shrinks because when the hypodermis is not working. So it's not laying new cells as rapidly as it used to. When you were young, when you were a little baby, your skin used to turn over every night. You would wake up and your mother would be like, oh my God, this person is growing so fast. I just got like this sleeping suit and now it's like, it happens to mothers all the time, and God bless the babies. The babies are like constantly producing and you're feeding them and they're constantly producing. However, at some point you've reached and manifested what your skin is supposed to look like. You're just basically constellation of DNA manifesting itself as into a reality. So your reality is made up of things you eat, things you consume, and all of that reality ends up turning into what your skin looks like. And your skin tells your story. Your skin is your story. And I love to read that story, and I love to also write about that story. So that story, as it degrades, I love to speak to people about how the cookie crumbles. And this is the 1,000-layer crepe, which will crumble. It does. everybody is supposed to, because you're supposed to then recreate yourself or just go ahead and disperse, blow away in the wind. Actually, after we're done with David's art stuff, we're going to create his, music stuff also, because he has some great collection of musical references, which I can also use in explaining chronic skin failures. This is the Colosseum. So I was in Rome during it was, I think, some holiday, and it was a Christian holiday. They have like the Jubilee year and everything, and we ended up, and there was a new pope. But we ended up staying right in front of the Colosseum. So this is the Colosseum. This is like my morning view of this is not my morning view. This is like the inside of my morning view. I have a picture where I took a picture from what's outside my window, and the Colosseum 100% reminded me of human mitochondria. So your skin, if I go back to your skin, if you go back to your skin, right in the middle, in the dermis, there is a lot of mitochondria. Like every skin cell has at least 200 mitochondria. And this Colosseum reminded me of one mitochondria. Each one of your skin cells has at least, even the shitty skin, that's not being taken care of. Even the skin that's filled with pus and whatever, debris, even they have 200 mitochondria, which are basically energy producing. Listen, your skin, as it manifests itself in your reality, needs that to develop that energy. So that Colosseum reminded me of a single mitochondrial cell. And I was like, wow, it's kind of true. And for those of you who do not know what the Colosseum is, it's I don't know if you've watched movies, this is where all the games used to occur. In a modern day reference to a Colosseum would be like the Yankee Stadium, if you're in New York. This is my first slide. So all that I said before, it was just the intro. So this is the point, chronic skin failure. Why does it take you 20 minutes? Because, we have to understand what we're talking about. So understanding chronic skin failure. So I chose these two slides. But this is the Last Judgment, which is on the Sistine Chapel. It's on the altar of Sistine Chapel. And then I have picked this other slide of Saint Bartholomew, who is holding a piece of his slayed skin. And that's my, the Last Judgment, where they're putting are you a good person or a bad person? And if you actually see the whole slide, you can actually see that there are less good people. And then there is mostly they're, in the Last Judgment, they're anyway, so this, on the other hand, is Saint Bartholomew, and he was a saint who was slayed. His skin was, so he's holding his skin. And chronic skin failure is all of us holding our own skins. In the end, our consciousness is holding its skin. This is what we are. You're nothing but a bag of skin holding your consciousness together through time. Okay, this is a statue of Diana. I always like to talk about filters, and your skin is a filter. It is nothing but a filter. Your reality is a filter. And your skin has been represented through time in various modes, whether it is stone. As you can see, this is a Bernini representation of Diana. And on the other side, you can't see, but that's David's friend, and I can't show his picture because his picture is, half of it is just cut off from there. So I don't know. Skin is one of the most talked about organ, and everybody seems to say that they know what it is, but sometimes that their representation of self and things that they're saying are not easily connectable. It is, and therefore continues to be one of the most misunderstood organs in our life. What treatments can be applied to each layer of the skin, and what are the different ways we should protect each layer? Yes, that is again parts of the chronic skin failure lecture that I haven't gotten to yet, but yes, so each skin, as we start restoring skin, and understanding chronic skin failure is also very important, because after a certain point you need to restructure keep those structures going to prevent the failure. What treatments can be applied? So yes, since skin is so widely misunderstood, and usually people do the bare minimum for their skin, if they can, and especially if you're a man, we even teach you that the less you do, the better it is. Meanwhile, that's wrong. But yes, to even initiate the treatments, you need to understand how long. So now we have medications and energy devices that can assist you in all the layers. And sometimes it's a good idea to use appropriate tools, because these tools vary. For example, it's okay for you to microneedle yourself when you're in your 30s, but it's not okay to microneedle yourself when you're in your postmenopausal decline. But yes, there are certain areas in your skin, for example, your scalp, where it's hard for nutrition to get in. Those areas can and must be microneedled every now and then, if need be. What are the different ways we should protect? So each layer, yes, we should, first of all, the first question should be, do you want to protect all the layers? Because some of us only want to protect the very top layer, where, they're like, oh yeah, I'm putting some petroleum jelly at night and I put sunscreen. What else do you want me to do? So if you're that person, no, you just want to protect the top layer. And that too, like half-heartedly, because you're probably exposing yourself all the time. So, parts of you will start to sizzle and burn. And when it sizzles and burns, it does sometimes turn cancerous, because your lymphatic drainage will not carry that, clean that out. If we work on the top or exterior failure only, does that mean we are not doing anything to prevent? Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right. And it depends at what age group you are, because if you're like an age group which is, if you're like an age group where you're young, for instance, like you're 25, 30, it makes sense to start preserving yourself to the best of your ability at that point. Usually it is more important for girls in their 20s and 30s to stabilize themselves, because that's when they're having children, and their body is like, it's like having a child is like going through a car crash. Your body went through a car crash, and then you have to kind of rebuild yourself, because your body is able to rebuild itself too. So before every car crash, the body assesses itself. Does it have the strength? Does it have the resolve? Does it have the resilience? Otherwise, a lot of women that, were probably your ancestors used to die in their 30s, at the most in their 40s. Definitely in their 20s, women used to during childbirth, they would die. So if we go through history, we see that, children were the cause of maternal mortality, was just, childbearing. So yeah, there's different devices, and different energy devices protect different layers of skin. So the top layer will, like, what are the things that can protect you? First of all, there are things that you can do for free for yourself, which is avoid sun. Avoid direct exposure of heat, because it's going to burn you. Because we have a toxic relationship with sun. We love it, however, it burns us. So no, say no to sun. And yes, you can do sun exposure when it's rising, sunrise or sunset, which is like a little more, it has better energy. It doesn't burn. So some of the things you can do for free for the top layer. Then there are things that you need to purchase and put on yourself. For example, some sunscreen, some moisturizers. People do home-based stuff all the time. So whatever floats your boat, do it. If you ask me what I do things that cost a lot of. I just like to, treat skin very royally. So I have like some really cool stuff. But yes, so the top layer is protected first of all with your, easy to do things. And right now you can go to over the counter products are sometimes so good, and I have used them all the time. I use them. Recommend it to people that, and whenever people say that, what is this that you're recommending, I tell them to go to their local CVS or drugstore and just get these things. They're really nice products. And then comes like things that you can purchase with money. And what are those things? So for the top layer of skin, and one of the things that I have found very, very useful is infusions, which are intravenous nutrients and minerals and antioxidants that we place under your skin. And they bring a really nice color, really nice shade to the skin. They bring a glow to the skin. They bring like a glow to the structure of your skin. And especially if you're doing it regularly, the entire layer gets suffused with these minerals and products, which are really cool. And they're all water soluble, so they don't coagulate, they don't like create any blockages or anything. So they're safe. And your skin loves it. These nutrients are usually skin food. Your cells in your skin really appreciate these things. It's like providing groceries to all the skin cells. So yeah, so the infusions are like, if you want to do even more to keep your top layers fresh and young and vibrant and filled with life and not just death. That's that. So that means that feeding your skin. So yes, some people say that we can eat, and sometimes eating that much will make you obese because it will increase your sugars. And at some point in human history, obese people were considered wealthy because they had more to eat. But basically, obesity can be a disease in itself because the fat cells, obesity is a disease of your fat cells. Now, your fat cells is an organ by itself. And they not only remain in certain layers of the skin, but actually under the skin, there is like a pouch of fat that your body stores its energy in. So your fat cells are your energy storing cells. And sometimes your fat cells can get diseased and will produce disease because they just are holding too much energy. There's too much pressure in those cells, and they will reflect that pressure back onto your organs, external and internal. And that is one of the reasons that when we give you medications like sugar neutralizers, like GLP-1 agonists, you will see that GLP-1 agonists will not only help neutralize your sugars, but they will also shrink your fat cells. And as they shrink your fat cells, they will decrease the weight of a person, and they will also decrease the blood pressure of that person decreases. So we have been noticing in the past few years of using GLP-1 agonists like Ozempic and Wegovy and tirzepatide or semaglutide or Zepbound or Manjaro, just any of the names that may sound familiar to you. These medications are GLP-1 agonists, which have a direct impact on your skin. They will prolong the life of your skin. However, they also decrease the inflammation in your fat cells, which basically rehabilitates your fat cells. As we expand our lifespan, why is it important to focus on anti-aging treatments? That's such a great question. Yeah, see, so your lifespan is important. Your lifespan is even more important and better lived if your health span also extends as much as we can. So we have been busy, while we've been busy extending your lifespan, we forgot to extend your health span with it. And just by extending your lifespan, we're basically just extending your misery. Because if it is not combined with health and wellness and agency over different organs of self, then it's just suffering. However, it's all relevant to the viewer. So if you view it as such, then you're living. You live you. You be you. But yes, it is important. So some of these treatments that we recommend to people are, are this. Anyway, so I think David is started, and I am going to join his Zoom. So I'm going to close myself over here, and I'm going to start talking.